Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a quick review of some brand new brushes from e.l.f. I have the Ultimate Blending Brush and the Contour Brush. The brand sent me these a few weeks ago, and a lot of you guys have noticed that I've been putting them to the test in tutorials and asked me about them, so I wanted to give you not only a review, I'm also going to be showing a demo how I like to use these brushes, and I've also compared them to some of the other brushes I have in my collection to see if maybe you have comparable brushes so you don't have to buy these, or see if they dupe a brush that you may or may not have had your eye on. So let's jump in. The first brush I want to start with is the Ultimate Blending Brush, probably because it's the first I use in my makeup routine. I like to use this for liquid foundation. You can see the shape. It has really nice dense bristles. They're very soft. They have a rounded cut, makes them really nice for buffing product, specifically liquid product in, although it does work with powder. I've used this to set my under eye makeup, but I find I prefer using it with liquid, and you can see relative to the size of my face, you can make some quick work of buffing and blending in foundation all over. It's not a unique brush in terms of really shape and function though, and I say that because I have quite a few over here that I want to compare it to. Okay, so really it's just two. I had most of them for the contouring brush, but it's two nonetheless, one of which is the Makeup Geek Face Buffer Brush. This one's probably the most similar because it has that rounded tip. These bristles feel a little bit less soft. Doesn't make them any more harsh on the skin, but the e.l.f. just feels a little bit softer, has a softer cut. And you can see here the sizes are very comparable as well. The main difference, in my opinion, is that the e.l.f. brush is $6 and the Makeup Geek is $18. There's a little bit of difference in kind of the heft of the brush. The Makeup Geek feels like it has a little bit more mass there, so if you prefer a weighted brush, maybe you prefer the Makeup Geek, but for all practical purposes, I would say that they serve the same function, they're just as good quality, but the e.l.f. is $6. The other brush that I think a lot of people will have, which is why I think it's worth mentioning, is the Real Techniques Buffer Brush. Now, this is exclusively available in a face set that is $17.99, I want to say, but I think a lot of people will have this, so to the extent that you have this, you might want to forego the e.l.f. brush because, once again, you can see size is very similar. The cut is slightly different. The Real Techniques has a little bit more of a flat top, but they are really, really close, and the function is once again the same. So if you're looking for a good buffing brush, I really recommend the e.l.f., but if you already have the Real Techniques, you can probably skip it. Next up is the Contour Brush, and this is a brush that has been launching more frequently lately, probably because of everyone's obsession with contouring, which naturally, this is a long, narrow brush, so it's perfectly formatted to fit directly in the contours of your cheeks. I'll have a demo going here so you can see how I use it, but I also used it when I did the dupe or dud using the IT Cosmetics My Sculpted Face Kit and the Ulta Contour Kit. So if you want to see it in action there, you can go check that out as well. But basically, fits right in the contour of your face, and I personally like to use it right along my hairline using whatever the darkest shade contour is that I'm going, darkest or second darkest, I'll put that along my hairline. And this particular brush is thin enough so that you can use it down the sides of your nose. As far as quality goes, the bristles are really nice and soft, picks up product really well. One thing to be careful of though is because this is such a dense brush, it is going to pick up a lot of product, so if you have a very powdery contour powder, you're gonna kick up a lot of product and you're gonna see a lot of color payoff when you go and stick that directly in your contour. So really experiment when you first get it. Use a very light hand at first because it's always easier to build, a little bit harder to take it away. But in general, this is $6 as well. I would say it's awesome quality for what you get, especially for what I'm about to compare it to. Here are all the comparison brushes. Right off the bat, I wanna throw the e.l.f. Ultimate Kabuki brush in here. I did a comparison, another dupe or dud, with this in the Becca Ultimate Contour. You can see here there really is no comparison. Yes, this is a longer Kabuki brush, but when it comes to contour, the contour brush is absolutely better formatted for the job, so there's really no comparison there. But I do have three other brushes that are very, very similar. So I'm going to start with the Makeup Forever actually. You can see they look very similar. The Makeup Forever is much, much thinner, the bristles are much longer, and so it makes it a ton more flexible. This, despite looking similar, I find is better for kind of painting foundation on, painting liquid products on, because if you go in and use it with your contour, you get a lot of flex there, and I really need more stiffness when I go in to apply a precise contour. If I have any of that flex, it's gonna get a little muddy for me. Not to mention the fact that Makeup Forever is a more expensive brush in general. So if you're looking for a brush specifically made to contour, you might as well go with a contouring brush. Then there is the Real Techniques 301 brush. Once again, you can see the shapes are similar, but the Real Techniques is a little shorter and a little fatter. This I think is going to come down to preference really as to which size you like. The Real Techniques brush feels a little bit more luxe because it has that weighted handle, but really it fits in all the same places. It's a little less precise around the nose, a little bit thicker for the hollows of the cheeks, but really at the end of the day, you're going to get contour looks that appear very similar. So if you already went out and bought the Real Techniques 301, I don't know that I would go out and get the e.l.f. The next one is a dead ringer for the e.l.f. contour brush, and it's one that I got at IMAX. Oh, I forget it's not labeled. It's by Morphe, and it is the Morphe flat contour brush. It's currently on sale for 14 bucks, but apparently it says it's regularly 28. And so as you can see, the two are nearly identical in length, in width, in everything. So if you have had your eye on this brush, highly recommend you picking up the e.l.f. brush because it's pretty much an exact dupe. Except I find that the e.l.f. bristles are a little bit softer and the edges are a little bit less harsh. Personally, I think it's easier to blend it out. Because the Morphe bristles are so kind of jagged and sharp on the edges, it keeps my contour looking very angular. I end up having to go with another brush to buff it out. I really don't have that problem with the e.l.f. brush. So long story short, really recommend both of the e.l.f. brushes, the buffing brush as well as this contour brush. But like I said, I hope I could kind of show you by pointing out these other similar brushes that if you already have one, you might not necessarily need to go purchasing the other. However, if you were coveting some of those higher end brushes like the Morphe brush or the Makeup Geek brush and just hadn't gotten around to purchasing yet, you might want to consider the e.l.f. brushes instead because they are just $6. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you found this video helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!